Good morning. All members will please come to the floor. All members. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell to let everyone know we're about to begin? Good morning. All members, please come to your seats. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members, please come to your seats. All members present will please vote green to signify your presence in the chamber. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members, I think, have voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, if you'll please close the doors and keep them closed. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by a gentleman who's also a pastor, along with his duties here in the House, and that's our friend from the 129th House District, Representative Carlton Howard. Carries on a long tradition of service from his family. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce today's devotional speaker, Pastor Claude Harris, Jr. I don't know Pastor Harris just in passing. I've known him and his parents most of my life. As a matter of fact, his father, who's with us today, actually is one of my mentors in ministry. I watched Claude Jr., I watched him grow in his faith. I watched him grow in his character, and of course now even in his calling. He was raised in a home that was grounded in ministry as the son of now overseer Claude Harris Sr. and Pastor Regina Harris. And from an early age, it was evident, just watching him grow up, that God's hand was on his life. But before stepping into pastoral leadership at the New Life Worship Center in September 2024, Claude built a prolific music career. He is a Stellar Award-nominated artist, whose songwriting and production credits include work with notable gospel artists like P.J. Morton and Jonathan Nelson. He's the overseer, once again, as pastor. He's the senior pastor at the New Life Worship Center in Hepzibah, Georgia. But what I appreciate about this young man more than anything else is that he represents the next generation of leadership, but it's rooted in truth. He's respectful of legacy and committed to service. And today he joins us not as a musical artist, but as a servant of God, here to center our hearts and our minds as we carry out the work for the people of Georgia. Please join me in welcoming Pastor Claude Harris, Jr., our devotional speaker for today.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. It's an honor to stand before you today, and I thank Representative Carlton Howard for this opportunity this morning. I stand not as one proclaiming expertise in politics, but as one who recognizes and deeply respects the calling of servant leadership that rests upon each of you. Scripture reminds us of a truth that is both simple and profound. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your servant, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. That's found in Matthew 20, 26 through 28. In your work here at the Georgia State Capitol, you're entrusted with the weighty responsibility of shaping laws and policies that affect millions of lives. Families, children, seniors, neighbors, all seeking hope and provision. At times, the burdens are heavy, decisions are hard, pressures are real, and the voices of many compete for attention. And yet, leadership at its best is not about power, position, or pride. It's about service. Jesus tells us that true leadership is measured not by what we gain, but by what we give. Not by who we elevate, but by how we lift others. His model is one of humility, compassion, and sacrificial love. As servant leaders, your work matters. Your service is not in vain. The hope of Georgia is not merely in laws passed here, but in the hearts that lead with wisdom, justice, and mercy. So today, I want to encourage each of you with this thought. Lead not for acclaim, but for the good of those you serve. Lead not for applause, but for the flourishing of your neighbors. Lead not with pride, but with humility and grace. May your decisions reflect wisdom. May your words build bridges where there is division. And may your service honor the dignity of every Georgian. Could you please stand and let us pray? Gracious and sovereign God, we thank you for this day and for the privilege of gathering in this historic chamber. We thank you for the men and women of the Georgia House of Representatives, for the calling you've placed on their lives to serve the people of this state. We ask today that you would fill them with wisdom beyond their own understanding, courage to do what is right, compassion for those who are affected by their decisions. Guide their hearts toward justice, their minds toward clarity, and their conversations toward unity. In moments of stress, grant peace. In moments of disagreement, grant humility. In moments of success, grant gratitude. May they never forget that they are called to serve first, and that service, rooted in love, truth, and righteousness, strengthens the foundation of this great state. Bless this house, their families, and every citizen of Georgia. We pray this in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Now let's join in for the pledge. I pledge allegiance the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Members, I know we can all take those words to heart in our service here, but I want to make sure that we acknowledge someone who's here too, and that's Elder Claude Harris Sr., who's responsible for these two young men up on the stand. Let's give him a round of applause, and thank you for your service. Thank you, sir. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you can join the pastors in the South Ante room and get a photo and greet them and thank them for their service. Members, Dr. John Gleason is our doctor of the day today. He would be downstairs if you need him. He was invited to be here today by our dear friend, Chair Lady Deborah Silcox. So if you need his services, but we very much appreciate Dr. Gleason being here to take care of us. Thank you, Dr. Gleason. Members, I want your attention just for a second. I want you to recognize someone who's been a part of this family over the years. And that's former state representative, former chairman, former chief of staff, Terry England. Chairman England still is involved with everything that goes on here. Has been a big part of the renovations of this building and certainly the construction of the new LOB across the street. So thanks, Chairman England. Terry, we appreciate you and Cindy so very much. Recognize Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee is thrilled to see Chairman England here in this chamber. And by the way, we've read the journal and we have found it to be correct. Thank you.
Do your job. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Hearing none, the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Hearing none, the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Estration of the 104th moves following be established order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consent. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
House Bill 1055 by Representative Holly, the 116th Mitchell, the 88th Cummings, the 39th Jones, the 143rd Miles, the 126th. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 and Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to landlord and tenant.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1056 by Representative Townsend of the 179th, Irwin of the 32nd, Glaze the 67th, Donatucci the 105th, Stevens the 164th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 16 to Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to student health in elementary and secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 1057 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Abstration of the 104th, Parks of the 106th, Reeves of the 99th, Hong of the 103rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to continue and recreate the State Court of Gwinnett County.
Intragovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1058 by Representative Buckner of the 137th, Smith of the 138th, Camp of the 135th, Rice of the 139th, Hagan of the 156th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to group life insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 1059 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Mitchell of the 88th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding public utilities and public transportation.
Technology and infrastructure.
House Bill 1060 by Representative Jackson, 68th, Scott of the 76th, 63rd, and Davis of the 87th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to crimes and offenses so as to limit the lawful authority of law enforcement officers.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 1061 by Representative Camp of the 135th, Burchett of the 176th, Reeves the 99th, Gunner of the 8th, Santos the 117th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 11 and Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Juvenile Code.
Judiciary juvenile.
House Bill 1062 by Representative Rice of the 139th, Hilton of the 48th, Chokas of the 151st, Ballard of the 147th, Glaze of the 67th, and others. The bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to state school superintendent.
Education.
House Bill 1063 by Representative Thomas, 21st, Burns of the 159th, Cannon of the 172nd, Donatucci the 105th, Hilton of the 48th, and others. The bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to generation and distribution of electricity generally.
Energy, utilities, and telecommunications.
House Bill 1064 by Representative Rice of the 139th, Gamble of the 15th, Martin of the 49th, Barrett of the 24th, Townsend of the 179th, and others. The bill be titled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to education.
Higher education.
House Bill 1065 by Representative Smith of the 138th, Rice of the 139th, Buckner of the 137th, Huddleston of the 72nd, Jenkins of the 136th. Bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of West Point ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1066 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Powell of the 33rd, Mathiak of the 82nd, Smith of the 18th, Bonner of the 73rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1, Title 41 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions regarding nuisances.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 1067 by Representative Smith of the 138th, Huddleston of the 72nd, Jenkins of the 136th, Buckner of the 137th, and Rice of the 139th. Bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of West Point ad valorem tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1068 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Scott of the 76th. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapters 1 and 4 of Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions regarding the General Assembly.
Budget and fiscal affairs oversight.
House Bill 1069 by Representative Donahue, the 31st, Carpenter, the 4th, Smith of the 18th, Horner, the 3rd, Scoggins, the 14th, and others. The bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 10 and Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to vital records.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1070 by Representative Hagan of the 156th, Jaspers of the 11th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Green of the 154th, Cox of the 28th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 7, Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to income tax imposition rate computation and exemptions.
Ways and means.
House Bill 1071 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, McLean of the 109th, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Holly of the 116th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to the Department of Labor.
Industry and labor.
House Bill 1072 by Representative Townsend of the 179th, Stevens of the 164th, Smith of the 70th, Buckner of the 137th, Franklin of the 160th, and others. The bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 12.2.2 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to Environmental Protection Division.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 1073 by Representative Carter, the 93rd, Hughley, the 141st, McLean, the 109th, Douglas, the 78th, Powell, the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 40.2.86 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to license plates promoting or supporting certain agencies.
Motor vehicles.
House Bill 1074 by Representative Reeves in the 99th, Parks of the 107th, Hong of the 103rd, Clark of the 100th, Efstration of the 104th, and others. The bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Suwanee ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1075 by Representative Chastain of the 7th, Gunner of the 8th, Smith of the 18th, Hagan of the 156th, Camp of the 135th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 6 and Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to sexual offenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 1076 by Representative Earhart of the 36th, Burchett of the 176th, Crow of the 118th, Saints of the 180th, and Smith of the 18th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 10, and Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to obstruction of public administration and related offenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 1077 by Representative Williams, the 148th, Corbett of the 174th, Cannon of the 172nd, Smith of the 18th, Buckton of the 137th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.8.3 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use tax.
Ways and means.
1078 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Harvin of the 2nd, Horner of the 3rd, Barrett of the 24th, Powell of the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 13 and Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions relative to the Georgia Administrative Procedures Act.
Government affairs.
House Bill 1079 by Representative Jones, the 143rd, Hilton of the 48th, Stevens, the 164th, Washburn of the 144th, Herring of the 145th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.729.8 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to tax credits for the rehabilitation of historic structures.
Ways and means.
Bill 1080 by Representative Neal, the 79th, Crow of the 118th, Hitchens, the 161st, and Chokas of the 151st. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 6A and Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Criminal Justice Coordinating Council.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 1081 by Representative Neal the 79th, Jones the 25th, Oliver the 84th, Dempsey the 13th. The bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 and Title 30 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to protection of disabled adults and elderly persons.
Human Relations and Aging.
House Bill 1082 by Representative Martinez the 111th, Kahanian of the 81st, Chastain of the 7th, Donatucci the 105th, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to holidays and observance.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1103 by Representative Holly the 116th, Moore the 91st, Mitchell the 88th, Jones the 143rd, Cummings the 39th, and others. A resolution encouraging state and local governments to assist
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1104 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Dickey the 134th, Rhodes the 124th, Corbett of the 174th, Fry the 122nd, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that the governing authority of any county or consolidated government shall be authorized.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 1105 by Representative Jackson of the 68th, Schofield the 63rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis the 87th, and Mitchell the 88th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia to provide for the creation of the Georgia Independent Redistricting Commission.
Reapportionment and Redistricting.
House Resolution 1106 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Mitchell of the 88th, and Clark of the 108th. A resolution urging statewide support for passage of the Audiology Practice Modernization Act.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1107 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th. A resolution recognizing and supporting the Family Restoration and Reentry Program.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1108 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and Schofield of the 63rd. A resolution recognizing the urgent need to equip Georgia students with skills of critical media consumption.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1109 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, and Davis of the 87th. A resolution recognizing the urgent need for sentencing alternatives.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1110 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and Schofield of the 63rd. A resolution urging the General Assembly to support the enactment of legislation to establish and maintain a comprehensive electric inpatient psychiatric bed registry.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1111 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and Schofield of the 63rd. A resolution encouraging bipartisan support for the promotion of critical media consumption.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1112 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and Schofield of the 63rd. A resolution urging statewide support for the Georgia Menstrual Equity Act of 2026.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1113 by Representative Barrett of the 24th, Abstration of the 104th, Gaines of the 120th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Cannon of the 172nd, and others. Resolution urging Congress of the United States to recognize chronic federal deficit spending.
Special Rules. You'll be fine, Mr. Chairman. Don't worry.
House Resolution 1114 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Burns of the 159th, Abstration of the 104th, Hatchett of the 155th, Cannon of the 172nd, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to remove the cap on benefits granted pursuant to the Homeowners Incentive Adjustment Clause.
Ways and Means.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
House Bill 1015 by Representative Kaiser, 157th, the bill relating to self-insurers guaranteed trust fund regarding workers' compensation. House Bill 1016 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th and Flournoy of the 74th, the bill relating to general provisions relative to magistrate courts, criminal trespass, damage to property, proceeding against intruders. House Bill 1017 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Evans of the 57th, Clark of the 108th, a bill relating to regulation of specialized land transactions. House Bill 1018 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Wilkins of the 38th, Evans of the 57th, Fry of the 122nd, Lewis Ward of the 115th, and others, a bill relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes. House Bill 1019 by Representative Barnes of the 86th, Glaze of the 67th, Alexander of the 66th, Hughley of the 141st, Clark of the 108th, and others, a bill relating to landlord and tenant. House Bill 1020 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Estration of the 104th, Gunter of the 8th, Kelly of the 16th, Smith of the 18th, and others, a bill relating to the Georgia Judicial Retirement System. House Bill 1021 by Representative McDonald of the 26th, Leverett of the 123rd, Gullett of the 19th, Oliver of the 84th, Evans of the 57th, and others, a bill relating to retention of funds by authority, remittance to General Fund of State Treasury, and accumulation of interest. House Bill 1022 by Representative McDonald of the 26th, Corbett of the 174th, Hitchens of the 161st, Levens of the 12th, Crow of the 118th, and others, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 1023 by Representative Estration of the 104th, Burns of the 159th, Irwin of the 32nd, Hatchett of the 155th, Persinger of the 119th, and others, a bill relating to loitering and disrupting of schools. House Bill 1024 by Representative Hong of the 103rd, Reeves of the 99th, Leverett of the 123rd, a bill relating to exemptions for purposes of bankruptcy and interstate insolvent estates. House Bill 1025 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th, a bill relating to child in need of services. House Bill 1026 by Representative Sharper of the 177th, Corbett of the 174th, LaHood of the 175th, Burchett of the 176th, a bill to provide for the compensation of the City of Valdosta Board of Education. House Bill 1027 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Yurts of the 152nd, Williamson of the 112th, Williamson of the 148th, Gamble of the 15th, and others, a bill relating to general provisions applicable to counties only and general provisions applicable to municipal corporations only. House Bill 1028 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Estration of the 104th, Gunter of the 8th, Kelly of the 16th, Smith of the 18th, and others, a bill relating to general provisions regarding prosecuting attorneys. House Bill 1029 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, Ridley of the 22nd, Jones of the 47th, Jaspers of the 11th, Parsons of the 44th, and others, a bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the City of Holly Springs. House Bill 1030 by Representative Don Chichi of the 105th, Irwin of the 32nd, Jones of the 47th, Dubnick of the 29th, Hilton of the 48th, and others, a bill relating to elementary and secondary education. House Bill 1031 by Representative Holly of the 116th, McQueen of the 61st, Bell of the 75th, Barnes of the 86th, Baker of the 64th, and others, a bill relating to a landlord and tenant. House Bill 1032 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Bernal of the 77th, a bill to amend the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 1033 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Bernal of the 77th, a bill relating to insurance. House Bill 1034 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, a bill relating to financial institutions. House Bill 1035 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, Green of the 154th, Taylor of the 92nd, and others, a bill relating to local government. House Bill 1036 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Taylor of the 92nd, Baker of the 64th, and others, a bill relating to regulation of specialized land transactions. House Bill 1037 by Representative Cummings of the 39th, and Senya of the 43rd, Parsons of the 44th, Campbell of the 35th, Seabaugh of the 34th, a bill to amend an act creating the State Court of Cobb County. House Bill 1038 by Representative Griffin of the 149th, Hughley of the 141st, Miller of the 62nd, Davis of the 87th, Barry of the 56th, and others, a bill relating to education. House Bill 1039 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to the One Georgia Authority. House Bill 1040 by Representative Owl of the 50th, Buckner of the 137th, Green of the 154th, Barnes of the 86th, and Bazemore of the 69th, a bill relating to smoke-free air. House Bill 1041 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to general provisions relative to the Juvenile Code. House Bill 1042 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Gunter of the 8th, Smith of the 18th, Evans of the 57th, Crawford of the 89th, and others, a bill relating to civil practice, courts, and equity. House Bill 1043 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Schofield of the 63rd, Davis of the 87th, Bazemore of the 69th, Alexander of the 66th, and others, a bill relating to kidnapping, false imprisonment, and related offenses. House Bill 1044 by Representative Roberts of the 52nd, Park of the 107th, Crawford of the 89th, Miller of the 62nd, Evans of the 57th, and others, a bill relating to general provisions regarding torts. House Bill 1055 by Representative Herring of the 145th, Rice of the 139th, Hughley of the 141st, Lallier of the 59th, Ballard of the 147th, and others, a bill relating to student health in elementary and secondary education. House Bill 1046 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Roberts of the 52nd, Gessler of the 121st, Sanchez of the 42nd, Bell of the 75th, and others. A bill relating to corporations, partnerships, and associations. House Bill 1047 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Dickey of the 134th, Carpenter of the 4th, Prince of the 132nd, Fry of the 122nd, and others. A bill relating to water and sewer projects and cost tax. House Bill 1048 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Abstention of the 104th, Jones of the 47th, Donatucci of the 105th, Reeves of the 99th, and others. A bill to amend the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 1049 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Evans of the 57th, Githler of the 121st, Sanchez of the 42nd, Bell of the 75th, and others. A bill relating to general provisions regarding torts. House Bill 1050 by Representative Fry of the 122nd, Evans of the 157th, Roberts of the 52nd, Gissler of the 121st, Sanchez of the 42nd, and others. A bill relating to state and local law enforcement actions relating to immigration laws. House Bill 1051 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Glaze of the 67th, Bell of the 75th, Holly of the 116th, Schofield of the 63rd. A bill relating to loitering at or disrupting schools. House Bill 1052 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Alley of the 106th, Evans of the 57th, Sanchez of the 42nd, Lupton of the 83rd, and others. A bill relating to the Georgia Student Finance Authority. House Bill 1053 by Representative Lim of the 98th, Ramon of the 97th, Sanchez of the 42nd, Wilkerson of the 38th, Lupton of the 83rd, and others. A bill relating to law enforcement officers and agencies. House Bill 1054 by Representative Moore of the 91st, McQueen of the 61st, Canada of the 58th, Bell of the 75th. A bill relating to health. House Resolution 1046 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th and Flournoy of the 74th. The resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that any property owner in a condominium, properties owner development, or similar common interest structure shall have standing to bring an action to challenge the unauthorized possession. House Resolution 1047 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Evans of the 57th, Clark of the 108th. The resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to set the rate of the ad valorem tax assessment of the single-family residential property at 100% of its fair market value. House Resolution 1048 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and McLean of the 109th. A resolution urging the introduction, consideration, and adoption of the Georgia Bereaved Parents and Family Support Act of 2026. House Resolution 1049 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Griffin of the 149th, Berry of the 56th, Park of the 107th, Jones of the 143rd. Resolution designating the Wednesday of the last week in October of each year as Fentanyl and Opioid Awareness Day. House Resolution 1050 by Representative Green of the 154th, Donahue of the 31st, Beckles of the 96th, Buckner of the 37th, and Flournoy of the 74th. Resolution authorizing the conveyance of certain state-owned property. House Resolution 1051 by Representative Green of the 154th, Donahue of the 31st, Beckles of the 96th, Buckner of the 137th, and Flournoy of the 74th. Resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements. House Resolution 1052 by Representative Cooper of the 45th, Fleming of the 114th, Panish of the 51st, and Reeves of the 99th. The resolution expressing support for the designation of a state Prader-Willi Syndrome Awareness Day. House Resolution 1053 by Representative Clark of the 100th and Martinez of the 111th. Resolution to urge the appropriate state and local authorities to consider renaming Sawney Mountain. House Resolution 1054 by Representative Berry of the 56th, Hughley of the 141st, Park of the 107th, Miller of the 62nd, Mitchell of the 88th, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on the effects of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Senate Bill 407 by Senator Dickerson of the 21st, Albers of the 56th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, a bill to provide for a homestead exemption from Cherokee County School District ad valorem taxes. Through second readers.
Thank you, members. Reports of standing committees. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
Representative Trey Rhodes of the 124th District, Chairman of the Committee on Game, Fish, and Parks, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Game, Fish, and Parks has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 946 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Trey Rhodes, 124th District, Chairman. Representative Victor Anderson, the 10th District Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Governmental Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 903 do pass. House Bill 140 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Victor Anderson of the 10th District, Chairman. Representative Hawkins, the 27th District Chairman of the Committee on Health, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Health has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate, and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 195 do pass by substitute. House Bill 522 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Hawkins of the 27th District, Chairman. Representative Werkheiser, the 157th District Chairman of the Committee on Industry and Labor, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Industry and Labor has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. This instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 1015 do pass. House Bill 987 do pass. House Bill 991 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Werkheiser, the 157th District, Chairman. Representative Clinton Crowe of the 118th District.
Mr. Clerk, how about suspend just for a moment? Bring it down just a little, please. Continue your conversation, but at just a lower decibel level, please. Mr. Clerk.
Representative Cliff Crowe of the 118th, Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate, and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 295 do pass by substitute. House Bill 350 do pass. Senate Bill 29 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Clint Crowe of the 118th District, Chairman. Representative Lisa Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman of the Committee on Rural Development, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Rural Development has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 659 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lisa Hagan of the 156th District, Chairman. Representative Mike Jokas, the 151st District Chairman of the Committee on Small Business Development, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Small Business Development has had under its consideration the following bill of the House, and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 704 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Mike Jokas, the 151st District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Members, we'll move on now to morning orders. Members, if you will take your seats and come to order. We have some folks in the gallery that we need to recognize that are important to the members who want to recognize them, but also very important for our state and our well-being. So all members, please come to the floor and take your seats. I want to make, if I may, members aware. Y'all remember, lost a member of this House, Chairman Bill Hembry, a week or so ago now. Exact date, I apologize, I'm not sure, but because of the inclement weather, Beth and the family are going to have visitation tonight. It will be at the Jones Wynn Funeral Home in Douglasville, and that will be from 5 until 8. 5 until 8 tonight, Thursday, January 29th in Douglasville. Bill will be laid to rest tomorrow from 11 till 12. He will be lying in state at Douglasville United Methodist Church. So prayers for the family. If y'all will stand with me, we'll have a moment of silence for the family and offer our consolation to the family and all of those who in that community bill meant so much to, and to this entire state and to this House. So if you will, join me for a moment of silence. Amen. Thank you. We have some morning orders. We'll do about a maximum of 2 minutes per morning order. Our Representative Will Wade is recognized for morning order. On deck will be Representative Park Cannon. He's going to wave. Maybe his folks will be back. Okay, they'll be back in a later date. Representative Cannon. Give the lady in the well your attention, please. We have some. And Representative Jackson. Here he comes, Representative Derek Jackson. Give the members in the well your attention. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, January 29th, 2026, is Doula Day at the Georgia State Capitol. Thank you. Doulas are non-clinical support people who provide care to improve perinatal health outcomes for laboring, birthing, and postpartum families, as well as loss support. The hallmarks of doula support emphasize community-based interpersonal relationships, health promotion through preventive care, childbirth and health education, emotional support, and the improvement of health outcomes. The state of Georgia has a rich history of mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, and other close individuals who attend births as supportive figures. And research shows that even without formal training, this support can significantly decrease the likelihood of cesarean sections, shorten labor times, and improve the birthing experience. We thank Georgia doulas today from a number of different agencies present. Please stand when you hear it. YS Doula Services, the Susie King Taylor Foundation, Balanced Life Pilates, Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, Blooming All Over, Divine Hands Doula, the Sacred Willow Doula, Dama Doula, Sun Solistic LLC, Birth in Black, WellStar Hospitals, Women's Health Education Support Services, Redefine Wellness Holistic Coaching, the Yin Experience, Sister Song, Balance Wellness, Integrative Services, and Doula of the Divine, among many, many others. Congratulations and happy Doula Day.
Thank you, Representative Cannon. Thank you for what you doulas do for Georgians that you serve so well. We appreciate your work, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Chair Lady Dempsey is recognized for a morning order. Please give the member in the well your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. We have another, the gallery is pretty full if you look up there. We have another very special group. As you came into the chamber today, or if you were coming from outside particularly, you might have bumped into a lot of strollers. Today is Strolling Thunder at the Gold Dome. And that's when our friends at Gears have their annual event for young children, birth to 5, those most important years when the brain is forming and habits are forming, and there is so much time for development. Their families join us today with many, many little ones. Early childhood is an incredible window of opportunity for all of us. Our youngest children are our future. Please say hello to any of your tiny constituents that you might bump into or that might stop by your offices. And also feel free to join Gears across the street at the Freight Depot for lunch today to celebrate early childhood development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
That was a great timing, Chair Lady. The doulas get them here, and then you put them in those Rolling Thunder. Oh, that's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, members. Make them feel welcome when you see them. Chairman Chokus and Representative Teddy Reese recognized for a morning order. Gentlemen.
Come on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a privilege for me to recognize the executive director of the Chattahoochee-Flint RISA. His name is Richard McCorkle. Richard, stand up. And then we also have the student advisory board with him. And one of the students is Emmeline Snyder, and her daddy told me to make sure that I called out her name. So if y'all would please stand up and please join me in welcoming these young leaders to their capital. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, representatives. And welcome to your capital. We appreciate them being here today. Thanks for what those RISAs do as well. All right, we have a special group in the gallery here. I think they probably have on some lovely blue jackets, coats like you do. Representative McQueen is recognized to recognize an important group of folks. Representative McQueen and friends.
And friends. Come on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a true honor to celebrate the recently ranked #1 college for women. Full stop. Not the #1 HBCU. We've held that distinction for nearly 2 decades. Not the #1 liberal arts college for women. We broke that list almost a decade ago. Whether it's recognition for educational value, innovation across campus, or the impact our graduates make in the world, if it is rooted in excellence, service, leadership, and a choice to change the world, we are it. This morning, I rise not only as representative for House District 61, but as a proud alumni of Spelman College. My time at Spelman was a season of growth. It stretched me, challenged me, and sharpened the way I think about leadership, service, and community. Spelman did not make me who I am, but it expanded who I could become, and for that I remain deeply grateful. Today, we proudly recognize Spelman College, an institution that continues to push boundaries, open doors for women of African descent, and set the standard for academic excellence and community impact under the leadership of Interim President Dr. Rosalind Ross Brewer, who is here with us this morning, along with Ms. Spelman, Taylor Mills, Dr. Vasan S. Tinsley, National Alumni Association of Spelman College Atlanta Chapter President, and Demetrius Clemens, also with the National Atlanta Alumni of Spelman College in Atlanta. Colleagues, please help me welcome the women of Spelman College to the People's House. Thank you, Mrs. I yield.
Thank you, Representative McQueen. Welcome, Spelman. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here and telling your story. We appreciate the contributions Spelman graduates are making in our state. Thank you very much. Members, we have a resolution on the rules calendar. So you may want to get close to your seat. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Resolution 1008?
House Resolution 1008 by Representative Smith, the 70th, and others, a resolution to ratify amendments to a certain comprehensive statewide water management plan to provide for force and effect and to provide for construction, to provide for an effective date, and to repeal conflicting laws. This resolution has been signed to the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment. That committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Chair Lady Lynn Smith is recognized to present the resolution. Lady will pause just for a moment. Lady is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members of the House. It's my honor today to present to you House Resolution 1008, This is a long journey of the state of Georgia taking a very important role, its citizens, in the health of the state of Georgia in the areas of natural resource. In particular, this is your issue concerning water management. Several years ago, when I was first elected, I came to the Capitol and was very clear about expressing my concerns about water issues in and around my area. We were south of Atlanta. Atlanta was cavalierly polluting its rivers. Where I lived, you could not go to the river. The smell was awful. And so I'd been former chair of the Chamber of Commerce, and we could not promote that part of our county. So my tagline was, I don't need to take you to the Chattahoochee and show it to you. Just take a deep breath. You can smell it. So it was good to help get me elected, but when I got up here and tried it, 179 of you looked at me and thought, well, we got our problems too. So my journey was to learn that if I was to be effective, I had to know and learn the areas and the concerns of the rest of you and the rest of the state of Georgia. Georgia was also under this heavy anvil. We were involved in tri-state water wars. We were being sued by Florida and Alabama. And then all of a sudden, nature started taking over, and we were struggling with droughts and different things. But we did not work nor act as a state dealing with our issues. So began the long journey. And what I'm going to present to you today is the result of part of the process. If you'll look up at the boards, you'll see a map of the water planning districts for the state of Georgia. There is a carve-out, and this bill does not pertain to the metropolitan Atlanta area. They had, as a body, we determined that they needed to be their own group because they could work under the arc of the ARC, Atlanta Regional Commissioner. And so in the beginning, we passed a statute that said, you need to get organized and deal with your problems. But we knew the rest of the state needed to do that as well. And so began the study on how to create regional.
If the lady will suspend just for a moment. Y'all know about water. It's pretty important. This is an important bill, a resolution. So let's give the lady your attention. If you have a conversation that needs to take place, take it to the either ante room, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I knew I might put you to sleep, but I didn't mean to do it that early. So back to the story of why we're doing this today, because I think it's important. Most of y'all in this room, some of you were not born in 1997. I hate to say that, but it's true. So you don't know our water history. State of Georgia was underwater with all of our problems. We were not stepping up. We were not taking action. The city of Atlanta, the greater metro area, had to be encouraged by legislation to start dealing with your problems. But then the rest of the state had its problems as well. And along this process, we as a state are now the example for the United States, all the other states, but it's been a long journey. And one of the things we have to do now with House Resolution 1008 is review the actions of all these regions outside of the metropolitan Atlanta area. Some are performing very well, some not so well. And that is the charge we gave to the State Water Management Planning Group. And they met in December and looked at the different and varying issues. And one of the areas that was identified is that the Water Council meets every 5 years to review these regional water plans. The appointments were made every 3 years. And so in some areas of the state, people were actively engaged. In other areas, they weren't. We required them to have X number of people on the boards, but they couldn't get a quorum. In other words, we created something that was not efficient and not effective. And so the State Water Planning Group met in December, and they came up with some suggestions. And there's of course the legal language, which is in House Resolution 1008, and in the resolution it simply says they're amending a particular code section of this area. So what I'd like to do right now is explain to you what that code section is actually saying. But you keep in mind, in what I told you earlier, some of the areas of our state are not functioning because they can't get a quorum because it takes too many people. The other thing that's going on right now is we've been asleep for a few years because we've not had tragic events until Hurricane Helene. And then we woke up and realized, whoa, we need to be a little bit more efficient and proactive as opposed to reactive. And so we were given this, it was put in the form of a resolution. The amendment includes reduce the number of governor appointments from 13 to 7, reduce the number of lieutenant governor appointments from 6 to 3, reduce the number of Speaker of the House appointments from 6 to 3, remove the alternate council members, increase the length of appointments from 3 years to 6 years. I'll say that again. Increase the length of appointments for 3 years to 6 years. Now we're doing it every 3 years. And so require each council to have at least one representative from each of the water and wastewater demand forecast sectors: municipal, industrial, agricultural, energy. Why are they specifically named? Because they are the consumers of our natural resources. And so, yes, they need to have a presence there. The updates the requirements from the Memorandum of Understanding between EPD and Department of Community Affairs, essentially what we're doing here. These amendments do not include change to the ex officio membership. And I'm an ex officio member, one of the members on this side. Under the state water plan, the lieutenant governor, the Speaker of the House, each appoint a non-voting ex officio member from the membership of the state and House Senate, state and House. If you're, and then to go further, and I'm anticipating what some of the questions might be, but I need to point out, this is not an exclusive group. This is your group, wherever you live. And yes, you have a role to play. If you want to be one of the appointments to the board, then you need to let the chair know, and I'm going to give you a website that you can go to say, I'm interested in this. As with most people, it's not an issue in front of us right now. But forecasting and moving forward, things are going to change a little bit. You can't predict the climate. We can pass all the laws we want. We can't tell the climate what to do. But our pattern is excessive rain. It's also going to have a reverse pattern of more droughts. And we need every region of the state of Georgia to be effective and responsive. If you're not on the council but you want to be involved, let them know. A lot of the councils have working groups where they get together and make things work. And in the end, you need to know this was a difficult thing for your colleagues to do through the years of the late 2000, 2010 and on. It was a lot of criticism. Your farmers in particular were singled out to be better stewards of the use of the water. So we as the state are leading the United States. But to stay in that role and to look after our citizens, I ask your favorable consideration of House Resolution 1008. Mr. Speaker, open to questions.
Yes, you have a question to your right. Chairman Dickey is recognized for a question.
Does Lady yield?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing this very important legislation and your work ensuring Georgia has adequate water resources. And I just want to reiterate to this chamber how important these water councils have been and continue to be in allocating and planning for future growth for our state with our water, whether it's agricultural, industrial, municipal, whatever, how we're using our water. These councils are such an important part of the going forward. So thank you for this legislation.
Thank you.
Lady Yield for a couple more.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Thomas, to your right, is recognized for a question.
Do you yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that we worked together in this off season and traveled all across the state studying water issues and impacts from economic development? And one of the things the committee found is the work that you've done even 20 years ago was incredibly, had an incredible amount of foresight, and that the findings were that really we're in a great place in the state of Georgia thanks to you and the foresight of the General Assembly 20 plus years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing this bill. This is a great piece of legislation.
Thank you.
If I may interject, thank you, Representative, for chairing our Resource Management Committee and gathering information as well. Y'all, that committee, and you've done a great job of bringing information. Representative Sanchez is recognized for a question to your right.
Thank you, Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
Yes.
I just had a quick question. The terms are changing from 3 to 6 years, so does that mean that they're all, when the current terms expire, they become 6 years, or are they resetting this year?
So that's a good question. The next time the council meets for these is 2028. So what we're doing is laying the groundwork from that point forward to have it work smoothly.
Thank you.
Representative Alan Powell, to your right by the doors, is recognized for a question. Chairman Powell.
Thank you. Will the lady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true? I don't have a problem with your resolution, but I have a point of inquiry to make. I'm looking down this list, and it's got under my House district in the Metropolitan North Georgia Water District, but yet we're solidly in the Savannah River District, and I want to be sure that this is just an error on here and not what was in the plan, because while I certainly respect my friends in the North Metro Water District, don't throw me in the briar patch with them.
Thank you, and I'm sure that is already being looked at, and you will get the answer you need.
But you would feel certain it's not true that we would be in the Savannah River District, not the North
I can't
Metro?
speak specifically to that. If you know I know I'm in the Middle Chattahoochee District, and they showed me a little bit in the Atlanta area. So that would have to be verified by EPD director, and they're not present here. I will do this, though, to help all of you who might have a question similar to that. Here is the EPD's website on water. It's waterplanning.georgia.gov. waterplanning.georgia.gov. I know I'm in the Middle Chattahoochee District abutting Atlanta, so you might be looking at actual areas that are reflecting a basin as opposed to a region. I think that's what's going on there.
Lady has one more question. Representative Holly, to your left, is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that for certainly, not only for the conservation of water are these districts are important, but also just for supporting the local land and water usage plans for the local counties, because many times these waters and lakes actually have a lot of biodiversity that is going back to even the Paleozoic periods, and so it's good for just to be able to maintain good documentation for those microorganisms that are helping to actually help make sure that the water in the area remains as it is.
Thank you, and I suggest you contact EPD and say you'd be interested in helping on one of the councils. This is a living document is what I'm asking you to do. It is a responsive document. If we run into a problem or a concern, it can be revisited every year. So that is what makes it so good. Sometimes it's not easy to make our changes. I've had been called awful things through the years, but Georgia, the state of Georgia, is the national leader because we have stepped forward And even with today, I had no way of anticipating the questions or the debates, but we're doing it, y'all, and we're leading the nation. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield.
We have no further questions. The lady has yielded well. Thank you for your work in so many areas of natural resources and conservation, and especially with water. Is any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members now voted? All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Thank you, members. That completes our rules calendar. We'll move on. We have a number of afternoon orders. In fact, we have a whole slew of afternoon orders. I'm going to ask the members to do your best to hold it down to about a minute to a minute and a half. There's a couple of you have requested a little bit more time, and you'll have a maximum of 2 minutes. There's a couple of you there, so we'll get through our afternoon orders. We'll recognize for the first afternoon order Representative Beckles and Representative Ford. You ladies are recognized for an afternoon order. Then we'll have Representative Stacey Evans and Representative Haynes will be on deck. Representative Beckles and Representative Ford.
Thank you, Speaker. Members, today we pause to honor the life and legacy of Alapahaw Mayor Wayman Smith. I'm proud to call Mayor...
All right, excuse me, ladies, suspend. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will stand with me, please.
I'm proud to call Mayor Smith my friend and my supporter. Since he was the mayor of my hometown, he was one of the first endorsements I sought when I decided to run for this seat. He and I have worked together on various projects in the past for our little town, but I will mostly remember our work together post-Hurricane Helene, along with others in our community during those 10 days when we were without power, feeding people, supplying ice, water, tarps, and other resources just to get them through this difficult time. He was always present, committed to serving his community, never seeking notoriety. Mayor Smith was a true servant leader, constantly dedicated to serving the people, all people. I'm forever grateful for his leadership and for his service to the town of Alapahaw. My heart goes out to our citizens and his family, as his absence will be felt for years to come.
On behalf of this body, we extend our deepest condolences to the Smith family, the entire South Georgia community who loved and supported Mayor Smith. We thank you for sharing him with us. May God's favor, comfort, and peace rest upon his family and all who mourn. Though his earthly work is complete, his impact remains. May he rest in eternal peace. Can we please have a moment of silence? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We appreciate the mayor's service. I think that's one of the coolest names of any town in Georgia, Alapahaw. It's pretty cool. Great work. Thank you, ladies, and our condolences to the family. Representative Evans and Representative Gaines recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if members of the Athens delegation are here and want to join us, I invite them up. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to give you an update. Sometimes we don't hear about the good things that are happening because of legislation that we pass. In 2023, this body passed the Coleman-Baker Act, which Representative Gaines spearheaded and several others in here helped. And that bill created a cold case unit within the GBI where families who had lingering murder cases that were still open after 3 years could ask for those to be reopened and for law enforcement to take a second look. And a law school classmate of mine in the year 2001, Tara Baker, was murdered during our first year of law school. And because of the Coleman-Baker Act, a suspect was arrested about 2 summers ago, and he is standing trial this week. Jury selection is going on right now. That trial will probably last 3 to 6 weeks. But that trial could not happen, and this family could not be looking at potential closure without this body's work. And I just wanted to let y'all know about that update and say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Ali. Representative Ali. Get the gentleman through right there, please. Thank you, Representative. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to introduce a child as available for adoption, as has become tradition. On the screen is a 16-year-old named Orinthian. Orinthian is extremely polite, kind-hearted, and a Braves fan. And so if you or anyone in your community is looking for a new family member or to show somebody what family looks like, as always, the website is itsmyturnnow.dhs.georgia.gov. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good work. Chairman Jaspers, Chairman of Transportation. Chair, now, ladies and gentlemen, members, you need to pay attention to this. Probably an issue that will impact you either this year or in the near future. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this will, if you look on your desk, we put the rules to name a road, intersection, roundabout, part of a highway, all sorts of things that are a state highway. Now, if you look over here, over by the door, you'll see our new policy analyst, Danny Nichols, way bigger. She wrote it. She helps you with it. You need to get to know her if you do this. But I've got a couple of things, Whit Park brought it up the other day that there were new members and might need to review a few of these things. And thank you for encouraging us to do that. A couple of things. Read the rules. I mean, we'll have to come back and tell you that, no, you can't do that. And I'm not afraid to tell you no. But also, check the background of the person that you might be interested in naming a road, intersection, or something after. Because we do. We kind of look, and, it's nothing more embarrassing than having that happen to you, and we'd have to say no. You can also ask myself, Vice Chairman McDonald, Secretary McCollum, Mr. Prince over here can help you with those. We look forward to helping you and serving you. It's a real, if you haven't done it, you need to name a road after somebody important in your community. And I look forward to helping our new member, Mr. Fincher, name a road intersection after Mandy Ballinger soon. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, members, check the rules because that's an important opportunity to honor someone in your district that's made a difference. Representative Draper, recognized for an afternoon order. And friends, give the lady in the wheel your attention, please. Representative Draper is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So by now, you all know that yesterday, the Trump DOJ and FBI conducted a raid on the Fulton County Elections Hub. They took hundreds of boxes of documents that contained sensitive information about Georgia voters and the original ballots from the 2020 elections. Those documents right now are on trucks. They are being taken out of the state of Georgia. They are going to Virginia. Do not talk to me about chain of custody or ballot security if you are not up in arms about this. I don't have very much time up here, so I'm going to get right to the point. This is a full-on attack on democracy. This kind of federal interference with the state election function is completely unprecedented. The Trump administration has been trying to get this information on Fulton voters through civil lawsuits. They have been trying to get this information through their pit bulls on the SEB, and they have been trying to get this information through their lackeys on the Fulton County Board of Elections. They kept losing, so they are bypassing the civil justice system with this highly questionable and likely statute of limitation barred criminal investigation. Y'all, it is 2026. It has been more than 5 years since Trump lost Georgia, a fact that has been verified time and time again. And let me speak directly to the voters of Georgia who need to understand the significance of this moment. Yesterday's raid on Fulton County is not about the 2020 election. It was never about the 2020 election. This is all about the 2026 election and beyond. Let me tell you how this is going to work. Once they start investigating Fulton County, they will say they found something suspicious. It doesn't have to be real. It just needs to offer a pretextual justification for what will happen next. And what happens next is going to depend on the backbone and integrity of the people in this room and rooms like this one. Will this body pass a slate of bills?
Her time, she will need to finish up. You've got about 10 seconds.
Will this body pass a slate of bills that makes voting harder? Will we take over the Fulton County Board of Elections? Because I think that's what the Trump administration wants. They want to take over Fulton County, which is not just the largest county in Georgia, it is the home to Atlanta. Because if they can take over bright blue Fulton County, they don't have to put forward good candidates. They don't have to compete in the
Lady
realm
will
of good
suspend. She
candidates.
needed her time. Be respectful to the other members that need to have an afternoon order. Thank you very much.
We encourage you to do the right thing.
Chairman Anderson is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm not an attorney. I'm not an officer of the court. I'm not accustomed to, nor do I pretend to practice the theatrics that may be involved with that. We talk about the events yesterday that happened in Fulton County, and let me say this first. I have faith in our justice system. I have faith in the process that we put together and put in place in this nation and in this state to make sure that judicial matters are handled in the proper way. What did we see yesterday? It's being characterized as a raid. It's being sensationalized in the media. It's being sensationalized here in this room. What we saw yesterday was the lawful execution of a lawfully obtained federal search warrant that was signed by a U.S. Magistrate Court judge. That's part of the process. I think back to the last week or two and look at some of the court cases that have been resolved, or at least to some extent resolved in the state of Georgia. There was one resolved last week where the Department of Justice had sued Georgia related to some of the provisions of Senate Bill 202, our election integrity bill. One of those was the state's authority and ability to take over a county election board. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed that case on constitutional grounds. The case was brought on constitutional grounds. Their dismissal was for other reasons. But they said that provision of our law that this body voted on, that was signed into law in Georgia, was upheld. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about another case that just earlier this week was dismissed. And that was another Department of Justice case suing the Secretary of State, asking for unredacted voter files in Georgia. That case was dismissed. Not on the grounds, but it was dismissed on the venue.
Gentlemen, will suspend. You have about 10 seconds to complete your remarks.
I don't really need it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good decision. Representative Gisler. There you are. I was looking for you. You were down front. Is recognized for an afternoon order. Representative?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is my first time speaking from the well, so I want to say very quickly, thank you to the body for the warm.
First time, you take as long as you want, right?
Is that right?
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Was recognized.
All right. I'll make this very quick. I'm rising today. I'm asking for support for what I think should be a nonpartisan resolution, although it may not come out that way. It's simply asking this body to reaffirm that that current Georgia law prohibits the Secretary of State from sending private voter data to the Department of Justice. That's it. That's what I'm asking for. I would appreciate any support from both sides of the aisle. Come find me if you'd like to learn more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Good job. Representative Glaze, recognized for an afternoon order. Representative Glaze. Ladies recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Pro Tem Jones, members of this august body. I rarely come to stand before you to talk about something that is so burdensome on my heart that relates to the district I live in and the district I serve. But last night I watched something that none of us should ignore. 3 18-wheelers rolled out of the Fulton County Elections headquarters, filled with voter ballots and related election materials, seized as a part of the FBI criminal investigation into the 2020 elections. That image should give every Georgian pause, regardless of party ideology or who you voted for. Let us be clear about the facts. The 2020 election in Georgia was subjected to multiple recounts. County officials, the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, as well as ultimately our Governor Brian Kemp certifying these results. This process was completed. The election was settled. And yet today questions have been asserted, serious ones. Who is safe, is my question, from retribution in a democracy? Who, if anyone, could face criminal charges? And most importantly, who does accountability truly look at, and who in this system will hold and build out and keep the rule of law? In America, investigations are not convictions. Due process matters. Presumption of innocence matters. No one should be judged in the court of public opinion, and no one in office or agency or an individual is above the law. Georgians deserve transparency, not theater. Facts, not fear. Justice, not vengeance. I yield the well.
Chairman Prince is recognized for an afternoon order. Chairman Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon, colleagues. Listen, on your desk, I put a book out there, The Sacred Waters of the Okefenokee. If you have a good coffee table, if you don't have a coffee table, maybe a bar, just some good reading and some good pictures for you to look at and just reflect just how good God is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Here's our posture to the minority leader and your whip, and to the majority leader and your whip. Would love to meet with you all on Monday before session begins. This is a privilege that we all enjoy here of speaking our minds, but there are rules of our speech that are in our rule books for this House. And we intend to comply with those rules as long as members keep their speech in the proper context. And I think we all need to be aware of the rules, so I'll encourage you to, and you two to meet with us. We'll give you a few minutes before Monday we come in session, and then that can be communicated to the members of each caucus and the members of this House. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, members, for your discussion today. Thank you for your attention. We have a guest who's been a good host for me when I've been Washington, D.C., which I don't often enjoy that opportunity, but when I do, it's always good to go to our nation's capital, and that's our own Congressman Dr. Rich McCormick of Georgia's 7th Congressional District. Let's make Rich welcome. Now, for some of us South Georgia boys and ladies, Rich, cities and areas that he represents, Alpharetta, Cumming, Dahlonega, Dawsonville, Johns Creek, Milton, Roswell, Sandy Springs, Cherokee, Fulton, and Hall counties, Dawson County, Forsyth, and Lumpkin counties. That's a pretty big area. A lot of folks up there. Rich service in Congress. He's on the House Armed Services Committee, House Foreign Affairs, and Science, Space, and Technology Committee. Let me tell you why he's on a couple of those committees. Over 20 years in the U.S. Marine Corps and Navy. Rich served in combat zones in Africa, the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan. He flew helicopters. He's taught at Georgia Tech and at Morehouse. Thank you for your service there. And as a Marine officer instructor, he has earned the rank of commander. Congratulations, Commander. And served as department head for the Emergency Medical Department in Afghanistan. Thank you for your service in those zones. I think it goes without saying, his resume certainly speaks to that point. Congressman Rich McCormick is a proven leader, no doubt about that. He's working tirelessly to do what he can do for the people of Georgia, his district, and the people of America. We appreciate your partnership and the work you're doing on issues that are important to us here in Georgia. If you will, again, let's welcome Rich and give him applause thank him for his service to the people of this state and to our country. Congressman, thank you for being here. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Roberta Revold Barr. Congratulating the Worth County High School football team for winning the 2025 GHSA Class A Division I State Football Championship. Commemorating Imam Abdul Hamed, 10 years of leadership and acknowledging. Recognizing February 5th, 2026 as Latino Day at the state capitol, recognizing His Excellency Victor Emmanuel Smith, Ambassador of the Republic of Ghana to the United States of America. Recognizing February 3rd, 2026 as Girl Scout Day at the state capitol, recognizing March 2nd, 2026 as Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Day at the state capitol. Recognizing Friday, February 6, 2026 is National Wear Red Day. Recognizing and commending Yolanda Vanessa Kendrick McCollum upon her retirement. Recognizing and commending Evelyn Sermons about her retirement. Recognizing the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce, the Effingham County Industrial Development Authority, and their partners in conjunction with Effingham Day at the Capitol for exceptional leadership, collaboration, and economic impact in Effingham County. Recognizing February 10th, 2026 as Omega Day at the Georgia State Capitol, recognizing January as National Birth Defects Prevention Month, commending the Georgia Aquarium on its 20th anniversary, recognizing February 10th, 2026 as Dr. Indran B. Indra Krishnan Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing February 18, 2026 as Early Childhood Education Day at the State Capitol, recognizing and commending Audrey Catilla, Miss Georgia 2025, recognizing February 7th through 14, 2026 as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week at the State Capitol, commending the Georgia FFA Association and recognizing February 24th, 2026 as FFA Day at the State Capitol, and recognizing and commending Ebony Hall. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. We're ready for announcements now. Chairman Noel Williams is recognized for an announcement. Representative Barry, you're on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a Banks and Banking meeting Monday morning at 8 o'clock and 410 CLOB. Looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Banks and Banking, Monday morning. Representative Berry, Representative McLean, you're on deck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. City of Atlanta delegation has a meeting today at 4 o'clock p.m. and in the Capitol, 2:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative McLean. Representative Dewey McLean. Do you know what his announcement is? Representative Berry, you stand in for Representative McLean. You're a much better looking man than he is. Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you again. I try to be. My name is Dewey McLean, and the Working Men's Party is having their luncheon today. Oh, here's Dewey. Today at Club 509. 509, Working Men's Luncheon. Thank you.
Oh, Representative McLean, you do a much better job of making that announcement than Representative Berry did. So let's do it again. Representative Dewey McLean is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am so sorry I was out stretching. I just want you all to know the Working Family Caucus will meet in room 310 in the CLOB. We will be having lunch. The IBEW will be there, Local 613. And you know anything about IBEW, they're the ones who, if your electric pipe, when Fern came in, 90% of those workers are IBEW workers. So thank them. And if you believe in Plant Vogel, thank them too, because Plant Vogel was built by IBEW. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Absolutely. Thank you, Representative McLean. Whip Burchett, then Chairman Stevens, Parrish, and Irwin will be on deck. Whip Burchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A very short announcement, and that please save the date, February 10th, as Okefenokee Day at the State Capitol. February 10th, Okefenokee Day at the State Capitol, room 216, 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Stevens recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. Today at 12:30, the Economic Development and Tourism Committee will meet in 403. We have a couple of bills. We will get you out in time to get to the studio up in Doraville.
Awesome. Thank you. Chairman Parrish, you chair the Rules Committee, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, just want to remind you we'll be having a Rules Committee meeting Monday at 9 a.m. Monday, 9 a.m. Rules Committee. Thank you.
Monday, 9 a.m. Rules Committee. Chairman Irwin, Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind the education members that we have a meeting at 1 o'clock in room 506 CLOB. See you at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, sir. Before I announce the birthdays, I'm sure all of you realize you have a page today, so we'll take page photos up. If you'll join us up here as soon as we adjourn. Well, we have some birthdays today. Chair Lady Darlene Taylor. It's 39 for the second or third time, I'm not sure, but Chair Lady Taylor. So, Representative Ali, where are you? I'm looking for him. He may no longer be the youngest member of the House. He's got a birthday today. Let's see. Something like that. Well, we wish him happy birthday, and certainly on Saturday, the one and only Lehman Franklin, Representative Lehman Franklin, has a birthday on Saturday. So happy birthday, Representative Franklin. Remember, page photos. We're ready. The Majority Leader of this House is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until Monday, February 2nd, 2026 at 10 o'clock a.m.
On the motion of the Majority Leader, does this House stand adjourned I'm going to pause. If you that motion, Representative Ali, we want to welcome you, congratulate you on your birthday. So we want to make sure you heard us do that. Are you no longer the youngest member of the House after you had a birthday? You still have that distinction. It's all good. All good. On the motion of the majority leader that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday, February the 2nd, another month. All those in favor will say aye. Thank you. All those opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned, Al.